There is no sound. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. Yay. I was calling each of your names. I hope that you can actually read my mouth. I was calling each of your names. Hi, happy Friday. For all the American citizens here, have you voted? I'm not going to tell you who to vote, of course, but I hope just vote. Whoever it is that you want to vote, I hope you vote. And also, don't wait until Tuesday because don't wait until all the crazy things happen. So, yes, went out. Okay, perfect. Good. Yeah, no, we have to vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, that's your business. K pop grandma, Alisa, and good, good, great, great. Voted and confirmed. Ballot received. Perfect. Yeah, that's how it should be done. I sent mine as soon as I get it almost. So the weekend after I got my ballot, just waited until the weekend so I can do my research because I don't know all the candidates and then sent it out, voted. So just now I'm waiting for the result. Who's going to be our next president? And also hoping that no conflict, nothing crazy happens, right? We just want something peaceful. Okay, it's going to be an exciting election there. It is going to be exciting, yes. First time I have managed to catch you live. Oh, really, Jan? Well, next time try to catch us more often. I still Beth, oh my God, you have to vote. Don't wait until Tuesday. It might get crazy. Of course, we're hoping it wouldn't get crazy, but it might, right? Iloilo, Philippines, a solid army, BTS is 7. I'm sending my niece to the pop up. Are you gonna make it? Me too, first live. Anne Marie. I have an old friend whose name is also Anne Marie. Okay, a lot of things have been happening. Just want to give you an updates on some of the most interesting things. Give me 1 second as I pull up some things. Okay, first is, did you hear the comeback? Hi, BTS paved the way. Voted. I hope the next election is boring. um, boring in the sense that it is peaceful, right? But I also hope that it's boring in the sense that all the candidates, hopefully, someday will have like all the candidates are so good you can't choose. That's the kind of confusion I want. Right? Like, oh my God, all of these candidates are so good. Doesn't matter who win, we're going to be in good hands. I hope we have that kind of election next time. Peace, please. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen. The peace is going to happen, but I'm hoping. Honest politicians. Wishful thinking. Yeah, but we can wish. We can wish. Let's wish. Okay, so some developments. Give me 1 second. Some I actually was not able to finish my preparation. War keeps on getting in the way, but oh well, what can you do? I'd love to hear. I love that here in Zealand. Well, we love that. We would also love that here in the US, but things are interesting here. Okay, I'll share some of the. Hi, Esil. Esil. Esil? Esil? Hi. Okay, I'll share some stuff with you. I had a happy idea. Bam, Miki, and Tani bopping to BTS Weavers. um, Hi. Okay, I'll share my screen with you as per usual. Okay, so I don't know if you've heard, but the Kakao founder, hi HHK, RM for president. Imagine if each of the BTS member runs for the presidency. No matter who wins, they're going to be great, right? Okay, so Kakao's Kim Bom Soo is the founder of Kakao. And as you know, he was sued for interfering with Hybe's effort to try and take over, to buy the majority share of SM. So someone actually, well, he's on trial right now. He was able to get out on bail. but he did promise that he was going to cooperate. Initially, he is linked with MHJ and SM2, correct? So initially, they didn't want, the prosecution was trying not to allow him to go out on bail because he's a flight risk. With the amount of money that he has, he can actually leave the country, and that's going to make things harder for them. He was involved in stock manipulation. What happened, for those of you who don't know, okay, so 2 years ago, was that 2 years ago? Hybe was trying to buy majority share of SM Entertainment, and Kakao went on a bidding war against them. It was one of the most entertaining phase of K-pop because the nephew of Yi Suman was the one who took over Hybe, and he was really fighting for Kakao. He was making it clear to everybody that he didn't want Hybe to take over, and so he was doing YouTube lives, not lives, but he would release YouTube videos trying to convince everybody that this takeover of Hybe shouldn't happen because they're going to kill the company, the groups and stuff like that. And that's where the talk of SM Entertainment doing reverse viral, so amateur presentation on YouTube, yeah. So they're doing reverse viral marketing, meaning what they would do is plant ideas online and then make it go viral. And one of the things that they distributed is that Hive break apart groups once they handle them. And they used GFriend as an example. They said that after Hive bought Source Music, GFriend broke broke apart. So they broke up. So they're saying that that is what Hybe wants to do with the groups of SM. They're going to break apart ESPA and CT. So that's one of the things that they released. And they convinced everybody that they were right. So it was, if you want, you can search for these YouTube videos. It was really funny. And then so while that was happening, they were, so of course the sentiments of the public is on the side of SM Entertainment. And then, but do note that during this time Yisuman wasn't in the picture anymore. And then Kakao went on a bidding war against them, and then they told Hype that no matter how much you bid, no matter how much you try to buy the stocks, we're going to outbid you. And so at some point, Hybe was like, well, this is useless. If you're going to, if we're just going to go on a bidding war, fine, go ahead. They struck a deal with SM Entertainment, which included SM Entertainment artists joining Weverse platform. And then they sold some of their stocks back to Kakao, bought some again, and then sold some again. Always on a gain. All right. So now that and then finally, Hybe actually released some documents. They filed a complaint against Kakao because allegedly what Kakao did was asked another company, which was under them, their partner, to keep on bidding in their behalf to make sure that Hybe does not get the company. So this other company will bid higher, and so the stock price will go up. And so that means if Hybe wants to buy SM Entertainment, they're going to have to pay more. So that's what happened. He was arrested. Prosecutor had enough on their hand to actually arrest him and put him in jail. But after 100 days, he's now released on bail. But he said that he promises to stay in the country. I'm not surprised if Kakao is behind MHJ. Kakao SM. Kakao seems to be in trouble every other day. They are very. It's a new company. I guess you can liken it in with to Hybe, I guess, because they're also pretty new. They're not as old as Samsung or Yonde. They're a pretty new company. They also became very big, very fast, very early, And so it's part of growing pains. I guess the only thing is that they're very much willing to use shady tactics in order to get what they want. Now SM is linked to China, correct? um, Andiana Mora is tied to SM. Who's Andiana Mora, Elaine? That's why I think the destruction of Hybe comes from that group. Um, it could be. It could be that they very much have a hand on this. I think one of the worst things that happened to SM Entertainment is definitely BTS. Actually, BTS is one of the worst things that happened to many entertainment groups in South Korea because they really came from nowhere. They weren't supposed by all there is no indication, no sign that BTS is supposed to achieve what they have achieved. Like, so they really changed the course of K-pop. They broke boundaries. They set the standard so high that it's so difficult for other groups to try and beat their record, which I think is the wrong approach anyway. They shouldn't be trying to beat their record. They should be trying to use that as a leverage for their own success. But okay, so that's news number one. He's now out on bail, unfortunately. The other thing is that I don't know if you would remember, but Incheon actually proposed to have a celebrity entrance and exit, a separate entrance and exit for celebrity. And this is being done in almost every airport. There's always a VIP entrance because of for safety reasons. You don't want the general public to be inconvenienced, and you don't want to endanger their lives or safety if a celebrity is actually known to if people know that the celebrity is going to be in Incheon, then there's a lot of fans who actually come. And so what Incheon wanted to do was to provide a separate entrance and exit to celebrities for the sake of the public. But after as you would remember, the National Assembly had an audit and they struck this down. They discouraged it. They don't have that power, but they discouraged it. The They basically said this is like celebrity privilege. And so no celebrity entrance and exit. So I guess we're going to be stuck with the celebrities going in and out of that same entrance and exit. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. Number one is that why would celebrities continue releasing their schedules? So this, of course, is all part of the business marketing. A lot of these celebrities are actually using the airport as a runway in order to secure in order to offer the idols to different brands, specifically consumer goods. So they would use in the beginning. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of these idols will start wearing clothes from different brands. And then once the brands see the kind of effect the celebrity has on their brand, then they will sign them up as a celebrity ambassador, as a brand ambassador. Now, um, this is so for me, I don't have anything against the practice per se. I understand it's part of glamour. But I do agree with airports like LAX, JFK, and other airports around the world. They provide for a separate entrance and exit for the celebrities in order to contain that condition so that the general public who's just there to go in and out of the country can just do so in peace. Then we can make a show somewhere else, right? And that was what Incheon was trying to offer, but the Korean government said, don't do that. So no celebrity entrance and exit. But I'm wondering how you feel about it. Do you take it against the idols that they are actually announcing their arrival and departure? It's a safety issue. It gets wild sometimes. Someone is going to get hurt for sure. The way they get mobbed, I'd rather they use a separate entrance. Korea don't look at idols as humans, just look at how they treat them so they don't care about their safety. They use them. They look at idols as objects, for sure, that they can use at their disposal. That is also another thing why they hate BTS so much, because one of the things that one of the prevailing talks during the season of them signing as for the military service is that the Korean government allegedly wanted to give BTS a special, not a special attention, but a different kind, an alternative way to serve the country, and that is by um, being able to use them for different events, government related events when they are needed. So basically, they're going to be in the beck and call of the Korean government. And as we know, they just decided to enlist. And so they were like, we're not going to owe you anything. So yeah, they always look at idols as objects, something that they can use whenever they want. And if the idol doesn't do what they want, then they take it against the idol. SK always seems to change after something major happened. Like, yeah, BTS was like, no, I'm not correct. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They were like, no, we're just gonna serve. We're just gonna serve, and then that's it. After 18 months, we don't owe you anything. I think all the vitriol coming from the government is because they couldn't get a handle on BTS. Yeah, those are of course unconfirmed talks. I don't know if that how much of that rumor is true, but there were some efforts to try and get them an alternative service, but they would have to be in the beck and call of the government. Of course, the offer was like, oh, we're just going to need you for certain events, certain things, and then you will get an alternative service. But the boys just decided, no, we're just going to enlist. Imagine the US government asking Beyonce to be their spokesperson. Can you imagine if you are an introvert traveling to Korea and see all those people in camera? Or, yeah, or is someone like with, some sort of a disorder, you know that, yeah, definitely. Wow, that's crazy that they're not having their separate entrance. I remember, if I remember correctly, it's Han of Stray Kids. He has anxiety, and so for so many times he has actually almost broken down in the airport because of the mob. Of course, JYP tries to provide as much security as they can, but sometimes it's just really too much. Several times he has actually fallen because he just gets this anxiety attack whenever this much of so many people actually try to go their way. So social anxiety, yeah. I love how they dropped the enlistment announcement after the Busan concert. And I love how the one thing I love about it is that they actually didn't wait until they must enlist. They were like, nope, we're gonna do it in our own phase. I think I've mentioned this in one of the videos. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in one of the videos that I did in the past, that I actually knew they were going to enlist right around the same time, because I was taking this. I'm sure she left the company already, but I was taking Korean language class, and one of my classmates actually sort of mentioned that that they are so busy because they were preparing um, for content, that 3 years of content. I was like, oh, what company? And I know that he was doing, like, he's in the gaming industry. And it's like, what company are you working for? And he said Net Marble, and it's like, that's the company of BTS. And I'm like, what? Of Hive. So I said, are they enlisting at the same time? So you have to prepare 3 years of content. So I kind of knew, and of course she denied it, but I kind of knew that they were going to enlist right around the same time. So, but I love that they didn't wait until they must enlist. They just decided to do it, all in the interest of keeping the group together for as long as they can. They knocked Felix down once too. Oh, they did. Oh my god. If the government, the funny thing about these reports are the same things online that are said about the idols and the author are based on their opinion and on those comments, yet the same netizens are pissed. Boy Next Door leader fell and was injured. The Cypher 3 from Busan is a classic. I'm pretty sure they're going to come out like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Cypher. I'm here for it. Okay. So no VIP entrance for them. Now, an interesting thing that is happening is that Kakao is actually withdrawing a lot of their investments in Asia and are refocusing on North America. They're pouring their money on North America. So they kind of want to become the biggest South Korean entertainment company in the US, in North America, not just the US, in North America. And they are apparently, of course, their face is going to be SM Entertainment. So they definitely are planning and they do want to be bigger than Hybe America and Hybe basically. So this apparently is not just the first, this is actually their fourth company, the fourth investment that they made that they backed out on in order to go to North America. I'm grateful to the bodyguards of Idol's bodyguards for braving the mob to stop the fans from clawing to the idols. Jungkook has the craziest airport fans, and it's scary how dangerous a situation could get. Trying to mimic Hype. Yeah, they're trying to basically do what Hype did. I think the only thing most of this my the thing that I don't understand about these people, about these companies, is that they always seem to want to get to the destination without going through the journey. They want to become the biggest without actually building artists, creating strategies, going beyond what is the present. And so all their focus is that, okay, we're just going to be the biggest. So that is why I think they're going to fail. So unless they pay their dues, they're not gonna go to the top. But Kakao is hell bent on doing it. They want to become the biggest South Korean entertainment company in the US. Good luck, SM. Trying to ride on the other quote. Yeah, SM entertainment image is already ruined. To them, connection is the most important. The other thing is that I wasn't able to put in my slide is that there are some talks. It won't stop actually. If you are on Twitter, I suggest leave Twitter. But if you are there, if you're stuck because of whatever, there is this one account who keeps on posting quote unquote screenshots of the Hive report. I just want to ask everybody to not believe the translations that they're offering and the claims that they are making, because a lot of those things are distorted. Number one, if even if you're not fluent in Hangul, a lot of the things, the way that they're translating it is to favor, is to go against Hive, to make it appear as if the things that are written on that report actually came from Hive. They delete portions of the report that would show that these are summaries of the observations and the research of Hybe, and based on that, what, and that actually includes this issue about V and Jenny. They formed their opinion on that based on the translations of the report that they were getting. That's one. Second, they got this report from Blind. The Blind is the website in South Korea where companies actually, where you, if you work for a certain company, you can sign up, and then you will remain anonymous, but the only way for you to get in is if you have an email address of that company. And so many employees of different companies would actually post their good, bad, ugly, just anything about their companies. And apparently, there's this one Hive employee claiming that she got a hold of the report, and then this account on Twitter is translating it and distributing it. So don't believe that what the translation that they are offering, those are taken out of context and mistranslated. Can't do Twitter way too way too 2x. Haters will hate, ignore them. Correct. Just ignore them. So don't believe the translations. If you're a member of my Patreon, I am going to translate we are already translating the latest interview of MHJ in School of Music. It's just taking a lot of time because it's a long interview, and she does have a full-time job, but next week, hopefully we can publish it. So okay, so and then the other thing is that the other privilege of being of the not the advantage of having that Patreon community is that we try not to trigger things out of proportion. Like if there's something, if there's an issue, like for example this thing about V, we focus on the solution. So, okay, so this is the problem. This is what they're talking about. What can we do to help BTS? So, okay. Hi, Olivian. MHJ is too long winded for translator sanity. That is actually what's happening. So she said that she has to actually literally rest for an hour because each time because she just can't stand it. Like she talks a lot. She talks about nothing but herself. That apparently even the owner of the channel was starting to get a little antsy because she wouldn't divert away from herself. So, gosh, I wish we could deport MHJ. She can with Elon Musk. Um, no, I actually want Elon to continue with his vision to have life in Mars. So, unless someone's going to take over that vision. So, okay, where is that? Right there. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's talk about. I constantly say she's a narcissist. She talks a lot, but says nothing. I only follow good translators. The other army follows. You can take her. You can take her with to Mars or nothing of value. Truly narcissist. Nobody has a credible source for the hate comments. K-pop stans saw the word hype employee and went ballistic. A lot of it actually still remains that the general public in South Korea, if you're actually there, nobody really cares about this anymore. So I think that's one of the things that we need to also remember. Like these people, they're planted in different platforms to try and to try and steer some controversy, but it's not a concern for the general public anymore. There's a lot of them are actually really pissed, especially after Hani appeared in the General Assembly because they felt that the money of the taxpayers are being used the wrong way. So I think that's one thing that we can, but we also need to remember that this is they're making it appear as if the general public in South Korea is angry at Tibets. They're not. Um, General public cares about culinary class wars. The boy who called, yeah, true. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So as I've said, I constantly talk about um, us focusing on the good things and highlighting the the achievements and the quality of the art of BTS. So, but then I also noticed that we constantly talk about MHJ. So I kind of want to also give enough attention to what really matters, and that is the quality of the music of BTS and their art, not just the music. So I this is going to be a series. So this one, I am first going to talk Black Swan. So basically, what's going to happen is that I am going to dissect some of the most important BTS songs and also talk about why they're actually important, not just on an artistic level, but also on a human level. Like some of their songs are really important for humanity. So I want to talk about that and then but also talk into discuss some of the artistic merit of the songs, right? Because BTS has really written some of the most important songs in history, and it is important not just on a technical level but also on in terms of the message, so both in substance, in message, and in form. But because and they are important not just because it is technically superior, but because they articulate some of the most common experiences and struggles and issues that we face. issues and struggles that have destroyed relationships, careers, lives, but also rarely dealt with. Like these are issues that are common, but we don't really talk about it. And sometimes we're not even aware of these issues. So these songs of BTS are rarely talked about, rarely examined. They're often talked about in terms of like commercial success, but rarely on a um, substantial level. So, and I believe that if we just sit down and really try to understand these songs, this could actually inspire us to finally understand our own issues and do something about it. So, okay, so let's geek out for a little bit. So, um, one of the let's go first to Black Swan, one of their most important, and I'm sure that this song has impressed a lot of people. As you know, Black Swan is actually inspired by a quote from one of the, if not the most influential choreographers of all time. Her name is Martha Graham, and she said that a dancer dies twice. Once when they stop dancing, and the first and the that first death is actually more painful for a dancer. So, in itself, it is very thought provoking. But if you actually look into the real meaning of Black Swan, it's actually just a trailhead. It's just a jump off point, a starting point of BTS's trek to finding themselves again. So, this is where they started. But if you go through the entire song, they've actually said so much more. Also, I would encourage everybody to get to know Martha Graham a little bit more and watch some of her choreographers and learn her foundational techniques. It's going to give you a whole new appreciation for how Jimin dances. I don't know if there are Jimin biases here. If you're into the dance style of Jimin, but if you are, if you study some of the foundational teachings of Martha Graham and watch some of her choreography and then watch Jimin, then you're going to find a whole new appreciation on how he moves his body. One of the things that this is actually not a plan of mine, but I will mention it. So, one of the things that Martha Graham mentioned is that there are two most important sort of art for her. One is dance, and then the other is architecture. And architecture is actually applied in dance because for her, the contraction and the expansion, those are two important things in a dance. And in the process, you actually form shapes, and that is architecture. When you're able to form clean shapes, which in K-pop they usually call this the dance line. But if you're able to form the shapes in your body, that is one clear example on whether or not you're a good dancer. So try to really appreciate, go into, just watch some of her choreographies and some of her talks explaining her principle. It's going to give you a whole new appreciation for Jimin's dances. Okay, so in the song, our I guess we know by now that our BTS actually wrote the song around the time they were losing the joy or the passion that they used to have for what they do, music and performing, right? So somehow in the middle of the success, while they were swimming in records or the demand, the acclaim, money, probably everyone wanted them. They were the top on top of the world. They were actually also sinking deeper into numbness. So it's not even sinking in pain. They were just sinking in numbness. And one of the most important line in that song is if this no longer resonates with me. Okay. So it is very important because this specific line may be interpreted into different ways. I'm sure that many of you don't just rely on genius translation, right? Um, but there are many armies who just go to genius translation if they want to see the English translation of BTS. They don't really do the translation, the lyrics justice. So I would encourage everybody to try and find some YouTube influencers. Sometimes there are some people who actually translate the songs contextually on Twitter. Try to find those because they give better context. So that word they use ulida, ulida. Okay. It actually has two meanings. One is resonate, and then the other is cause pain or bring to tears. You make someone cry. So basically, they are saying, they could be saying two things: that this music don't make my heart beat anymore, or that it doesn't cause me pain, or it doesn't make me cry anymore. So it's critical because only those you love can actually hurt you or make you sad. So when they said that music doesn't hurt me anymore, it takes their withdrawal to another level. So it's not even them hating music, it's just they are becoming indifferent to music. They're just numb. And numbness, of course, is safe. And that is good in some respects, but when it comes to art, numbness is a safety is actually tragic. Okay. So the other thing is that the other important line is Suga's verse in the opening. So he was the first one, which is rare. It's usually RM who opens. But in the opening, he said, Simjang itwiji anande. Simjang, so I can't rap. So Simjang I Twiji Anande. That's what he said. So usually, if you go into Genius translation, they translated to mean my heart doesn't beat anymore. But actually, it means they said my heart doesn't beat anymore. It isn't beating anymore. So someone told him that it wasn't beating anymore. And this is an important distinction, um, because one me the his real lyrics, his verse actually says that my that he didn't even notice that his heart wasn't beating anymore. Someone had to tell him. So that's an important line. So it actually it sets the tone for the entire song, because it's all about abandon, numbness, the disorienting feeling of being in the midst of nothingness. So he was dead and he didn't even know that he was just going through the motions. Someone had to tell him. Okay, so but that's sugar for you. I know a lot of people are going to say that, oh, maybe he didn't mean it that way, but I think he did because this is sugar. Okay, then there is also a feeling of total abandon in the song. Black Swan doesn't follow each additional pop structure with distinct verse, chorus, bridge divisions. Instead, it uses layering to build intensity. So the song actually gradually adds more layers into it. So there's vocal harmonies, synths, bass. It creates a continuous swell, I guess, rather than distinct sections. So it builds up rather than having different sections. However, if you would notice, the more it adds layers, the more distant it actually sounds. So they manipulate the voices to try and drown it out, by synths and instruments and vocal distortions or autotune. So we hear less of the raw vocals and more of the manipulative sound. In fact, in that second half of the song, that famous scene between J Hope and Suga when they were confronting each other, um, in that, usually the least manipulated or the least auto-tuned voices in BTS's songs would be that of the rap line. But in here, they actually manipulated the voices of Suga and J-Hope. It was designed to make them sound robotic. So try to go back to the sound, to the song, and listen and observe the difference between Suga's verse in the opening when it was almost raw to that part when there was a confrontation scene between him and J-Hope. He sounded so robotic. And I think it reinforces the approach of them sinking deeper into whatever they were feeling, that complex emotion, as if the music itself is mirroring their descent into the lyrics. And then the other thing is that line, do your thing. So, and then film it now. So they this is one of the most repeated parts, or probably the two lines that are most repeated in the song. This line seem to say that they have given up, that they're just allowing anybody to do whatever it is, to do to them whatever they want to do to them. They don't care anymore. Like, okay, go ahead. If you do what you want with me, I don't care anymore. Go ahead and film it. I don't care anymore what happens to me. And so it isn't just about them losing passion for music, but it actually talks about them being indifferent even to themselves. Like they don't even care about themselves anymore. So initially, it seems that it's just about their passion for music that they're losing. But if you pull back, they're actually talking about something more important. And that is how we tend to lose the excitement and the enthusiasm on things that we have for a long time, whether it's a relationship, a job, our families, friendships. When we get so used to having something, we lose that enthusiasm. So everything, I don't know if you've been in a long term relationship, like things sometimes feel stagnant, correct? BTS Forever 7. It feels stagnant, like nothing is really happening. Like even if you used to be so in love with your partner, after 7 years, you're just like, what is it now? Like, I don't know if I love you, or if I'm just used to doing this. Or even in your job, like this is your dream job, but after 2 years, after experiencing how horrific your boss is, how you're not moving up as fast as you can, how, having all this demonic office mates, you get this illusion. And so the dream actually falls apart. This song actually talks about that. Like this for BTS, this was their dream. They have always wanted to be singers. They wanted to pursue singing. It wasn't their dream to become international stars, but it was their dream to be able to pursue the kind of music that they wanted. And they were finally in that state. They can pursue and do anything that they wanted. And yet they didn't feel excited. And that, I think, is tragic. So wanted to share a story. It was an office mate of mine. So before I moved to the US, I was in a company. I was there for a really long time. So I sort of saw the development of the relationship of one of my office mates, and I happened to be a good friend of the both of them, the girl and the guy. And so I saw them flirting, courting each other, finally going out, getting married. And then I think about on the eighth year or ninth year, he started cheating. Actually, she started cheating. She started cheating. And I was so shocked when I found out about it. And so I asked, like, you used to be so in love. What happened? Like, why would you do this? And as far as I know, the relationship was perfect. Like the it wasn't like he was cheating. He was providing her with anything that she wanted. They would go out on vacations 3, 4 times a year. So I was like, what happened? And then she told me it was a very flat, very definite answer. And she said routine. She just got bored with the relationship. And I know it sounds so evil, but it's also a reality what that we all experience but we don't face. And I think that is the magic of Black Swan. They actually got to that point where everything was routinary, that everything was just okay. So we create an album, we go on tour, photo shoots, and all of those things. That I think if we just actually sit down and listen to this song and actually think about how they dealt with it, and actually think about that emotion that we were feeling, we would be able to save a lot of relationships, a lot of jobs, and even dreams, right? So that is an example on how expansive the meaning of BTS's songs are, because no one really talks about that. Like how evil is it for anybody to say that the greatest enemy in a relationship is routine? How evil is it to say for us that the reason we want to quit our job is because of routine, because we feel stuck, because the you say that in an Asian country and they'll say you're an ungrateful bee. Like a lot of people don't have jobs. Why are you quitting yours? or a lot of people like that, you have a good partner, why are you cheating? And if you say boredom, no one can, like, that is such an evil thing, but it's also a reality that BTS is forcing us to face. But I feel like it's the meaning isn't being appreciated because we just concentrate a lot of, not just other people, but sometimes we have the tendency to just concentrate on the record, the, like, I mean, the sales record that they establish and all of those things. We gush about the beautiful routine, and it is a beautiful routine that we often forget to really sit down and think about the meaning of the song. But I think it's very, very important, and that goes even with like friendships with people, right? Like you go through a phase with your in a friendship where you're just bored, you want new company. And if we just sit down and say, okay, I'm committed to this friendship, but I need to know, why am I losing interest in this? The same thing with a relationship or a job. Like I know I want work. I know I want this is the dream that I have. So why am I unhappy, or at the very least why am I not at peace? So hopefully we can I hopefully this is a beginning. I hope that we can really sit down, and when BTS actually puts out records like this, we can say, okay, what are they talking about that I can use? What is it about my life that relates to it? I think if we do that, it's going to inspire us to actually find the solution rather than just treat it like just any other record, right? So, and I feel that that is the magic of BTS, that they're not scared to talk about things that no one will talk about, because who is the pop star, let alone a K-pop star, that would talk about that? Like, you're losing your passion, come on, who's going to talk about that? They're going to talk about like chasing the love of their life, or a heartbreak, or how cool they are. But to talk about losing their passion, no one's going to talk about that. So that's it. I hope that in one of the ways that we can try and highlight BTS and really move away from this negative conversation is to highlight things like this, things that BTS are doing. And this is just a starting point. Black Swan is just one of the many songs that they have. BTS are happy to reach their happy, but all they wanted to do is perform. Sometimes a dream can be exhausting because of the pressure to always do what's expected. Yeah, yeah, true. And also, like, I actually heard someone tell, who was that? Someone told me that nobody actually achieves their dream, because when we dream of becoming something, we have an idea on what that lifestyle entails, right? Like, for example, I want to become a popular singer. You're just thinking about the concerts and all the stadiums that you're going to sell out, and the signatures that your autographs that you're going to have to give out to your fans, the photo shoots and all of those stuff. But you don't really think about the the sleepless nights, the sacrifices that you're going to have to make, the thing, how much effort it's going to take from your body. You don't think about that. And so once you try and work towards your dream, it's really not your dream. It's not the kind of dream that you wanted. So that's why, yeah. So I think that is the context. I don't quite remember who told me that, but someone told me like nobody reaches their dream. It could be Kobe Bryant. I don't know. It could be him talking about like the kind of work it entails to become as great as he is. It's like this is not, you think that I go on the court and just break all of those records, win championships. It isn't the kind of life that you want. Sometimes the journey is better than the destination. This is why BTS is the best musician in the world, smart and raw. Love them. True, BTS content is always fresh and they constantly introduce to us new things. So we continue to stimulate our brain, and that's why it is fun. Yes, absolutely agree. So let's continue pushing that. Like, if people are talking about Min Hee Jin or whatever, or I'm sure I've told you before that Min Hee Jin is going to do something crazy the closer we get to 2025. On the day of the release of Jin, I'm sure something's going to come out. When J Hope releases his album, when he releases his album, And as you know, I'm manifesting a tour. So when he announces his tour, she's gonna go berserk. And the closer that we get to 2025, the crazier she's going to get. And the only way for us to solve it is to concentrate on BTS. And let's not just concentrate on records, as we have observed right now. Records are meant to be broken. I mean, as great as the Beatles is, and Michael Jackson is, Elvis is, Whitney Houston, all of their records are getting broken. So, because things just change, things the market expands. So eventually a lot of BTS's records will be broken. If that is all that we hype, then we're going to lose the actual essence of BTS. And their actual essence really lies in their narrative and in their message and the superiority of their musicality. Suga is always so direct and incisive. Yeah, I actually Suga Shug so Suga always has this big idea in his, I would say, yeah, Suga as a songwriter is very direct. So he has this big concept. He has this concept, and then he breaks down the concept into something more uh, tangible, like something more understandable. For example, amygdala, that's a concept, right? That part of our brain that stores memories, that trains us what to avoid to keep ourselves safe, and what to pursue to keep ourselves happy. That is a concept, and then he breaks it down to his experiences for us to understand amygdala. So that's his style. He did it in the cheetah, all of those things. RM is very poetic in his approach. So in other words, when he writes lyrics, it sounds so beautiful because he's just words is his thing, right? Um, J Hope is a little bit like that as well. It's just that for J Hope, we actually need a little bit more of a deeper understanding of the Korean culture and Korean literature to fully appreciate what he writes, because he integrates a lot of that in there, as opposed to RM, who's more universal in his approach. So I think that's one distinct differences between the three writers. Um, but then it's also interesting to get into the differences in the Maknae line and in their writing, because they're also very distinct as well. Also, the other thing about Suga is that I'm sure I'm going to have a comment tomorrow telling me that I'm a Suga bias. This is always what happens whenever I talk about one member. Like somebody's going to message me, "You are a Suga bias." Okay, a Suga solo san. Okay, so all right. So as for Suga, when he writes his lyrics, the beat, because he's a producer by heart, so the beat and the melody, actually more the beat, is always integrated in the storytelling with the lyrics. That is another thing that sets him apart from other writers. So it's almost impossible to fully understand what he's writing about unless you also understand the narrative of his beats. Elaine Salvador, thank you. Are you trying to comfort me because someone's going to accuse me of being Suga Stan tomorrow? Suga is fortune teller with his lyrics. Aren't we all Suga bias at some point? Correct. Yeah, we are Suga bias at some point. RM bias at some point. J-Hope bias, Jin bias, all of them, right? I mean, for me, whoever is on camera, that's my bias. Steadfast Army, our guys are breaking the mold of K-pop. I really don't think that they can be considered K-pop at this stage. They're just pop, okay, international. And actually, I don't even consider them pop. I mean, it's not just pop. Like Black Swan is not pop. You put that out, it's not going to be considered pop. Fake Love is not pop. It changes every day. We have a little of them in us. True. What I want to know is, had you been a songwriter, do you think you will work well with, of the seven members? I think they're conceptual artists. We're going to be biased for each member at some point. Sakamoto saw the genius in Shogun. No worry, our bias can change over time. BTS is another genre. in the beginning of the next song. Well, you're better than me. My bias changes whoever is taking the next line. So J Hope is romantic. I don't know who I'd write songs with. Ask me who I'd write software with, and I have an answer. Come on, try to think about it. Like as a person, if you translate your personality as a songwriter, who do you think you'll jive with when writing a song? You will work for all but mainly V. Are you interested in like jazz R&B type of music? I write realist poetry. I would work well RM. JK and RM and Suga if I'm a songwriter. Jimin and Suga. J Hope. Bang Luna, J Hope? Really? I expected you to be an RM girl when it comes to writing. Happy to work with any. They inspired me to take up piano again after 27 years. Oh my God, really? Jungkook is interesting. Suga, Yongi, RM. I would probably be V, probably RM for me. Hello, Army. Apo Bangpo, hello. There is not just one but Suga. There's not just one but Suga. Yes, his vocal is top tier. Who? J-Hope? Jungkook? If I'm a songwriter, I think I will work well with Suga. RM, yes. I write poetry, I think Yoongi or RM. Maybe Jimin. Hopi. I write dark poetry, so I think it would be Suga. V jazz. You're into jazz. I'm a V bias. I'm the opposite. I think the one thing I won't be able to write is jazz. So I think I won't be able to sit down and write with V. I'll probably just stare at him in awe while he writes. I'll cheer him. Contemporary for me, all of them. I try to bright, but there's a darkness as well. It's hard. Maybe Jimin because I'm a romantic at heart. Jimin's songs are romantic. I'm leaning towards V. I appreciate RM, but the way J Hope rides the beat and views the words hits me every time. Okay. For some reason, I stereotyped you as an RM girl. I have yet to subscribe to Band Love to create music. You're leaning towards V. I don't know. I think I'll have a hard time um, writing with V. I'm a writer, but my works tend to be an emotional. It's in dance, it would be Jimin. Yeah. Okay. Let me just make sure that I've covered what else I said I was going to talk about because I wanted to make sure that I covered everything. It surprised me that Jin's songs are among my most favorite. Tonight gets me every time. I love Tonight. I love Tonight. Um, okay. Okay. What did I say I will be talking about? Oh, apology. Did you talk about apology is different? Okay. Um, one of the I didn't finish my presentation. I will re-upload this video with some of the visuals that I was preparing for this part. But one thing that we need to understand about South Korea is that they don't emotions actually take a superior position over logic for them. In, for example, the US and even in the Philippines and many other countries, apologizing means that you did something wrong, that you're admitting to your mistake, right? That is, I'm sorry. If you say, please forgive me, it means that you are asking the other person to for grace. In South Korea, apologies are actually being used to preserve the dignity of the other person. So the apology that are being so if you would observe, I don't know how long you have been in K-pop or BTS, but before BTS, there were many other scandals of K-pop artists. And usually, what will happen is that the agency is going to issue a letter apologizing for what the idol did. And then they are going to self reflect, which was something that I found very, very strange. So they will say he's going to self reflect. That means they will be on hiatus. And then I guess when they come back, it means the hiatus that they have already self reflected. But in but if it doesn't really mean, it doesn't necessarily, and so in that, during that time, I didn't really think anything of it. Just like, okay, they apologized. But there have been many, many instances now in South Korea where someone would apologize publicly even though they weren't supposed to apologize. The latest of which is the CEO, the current CEO of Hive. He apologized for something he wasn't supposed to apologize for, because it, number one, he they made it plenty clear that the internal document that people leaked is that is a research material, and that all the conclusions that they put there and the recommendations were based on the research materials. But people kept on saying that it's your fault that those things even went out to the mainstream. And so he eventually apologized for it, while he was still saying that he was reinforcing what he said in the beginning, that those weren't their words, it was really just them collating many of the comments online. And so I said, so in my head, it was like, so if that was your defense, if you're standing by it, why apologize? Because apologies means that you did something wrong. And this is not the first time that it happened. It has happened many times in the past, especially if it involves politicians. And so it seems that for South Korea, apologizing doesn't necessarily mean you're admitting to your mistake. It only means you're acknowledging that the other person is actually superior than you are and that he can have his way with you. It is a way for you to uplift the other person and not a way for you to admit your mistakes. The one obvious proof to that is when they released the statement, when Hybe released the statement, it was during the audit. And that's why they were so angry. Hybe is not stupid. They know that the assembly was going to get angry and upset that they released the statement. They went on with it. It's calculated. Um, so why did they continue with it, even though they know the assembly was going to be upset? Because they wanted to correct them, they wanted to control the thing that was happening. And then they just apologized after. It's like, it doesn't, and in the apology they made it clear that this is not what you're claiming it to be. This is just a collation of online comments, but this is not what it's that but this is not from us. This is just a part of our research. Oh, but well, we're sorry. so it didn't serve the purpose of what it was supposed to serve. um the other thing is Jenny of Blackpink. If you would remember, she was caught smoking, not smoking, vaping. And vape, she's she's mature, that is her body. She can do whatever it is that we want with it, that she wants with it. Sorry, she can do what, just want to make it clear, Jenny can do whatever she wants with her body. That is her body, that is her business. If she wants to vape, smoke, whatever she wants, that is her business. But she ended up apologizing, and then eventually she said that she apologized because she understands that people, in other words, what she was saying is that people aren't accepting of her smoking, a female smoking or vaping at this time. And she was like, I can't go against time, that's why I apologized. So she didn't apologize because she was sorry and that she felt she made a mistake. She apologized because she knows people would aren't accepting of a female vaping or smoking. So that's another incident, that's another demonstration of that. The another thing was the issue with Rice member with SM Entertainment. SM issued an apology. They said, we're sorry for the confusion, for all of these things. Um, but they were clear that, but they did not say that the public is correct in castigating this guy for having a relationship pre-debut. But they were like, okay, we're not gonna have him rejoin the group. We're just sorry. So there was no, they didn't admit that they made a mistake. They just wanted to end it. So it felt like, okay, so you just wanted to, you wanted other people to shut up, but you're not admitting your mistake. Probably because you didn't do anything wrong. SM didn't do anything wrong. That guy didn't do anything wrong for having a relationship pre debut. And these are, I don't think that SM did anything wrong from trying to get that boy back into the group. Same thing with Hybe. So apologies really aren't there to admit a mistake. It's there just to shut other people up. So next time all these haters go online and say, "Oh, Hybe admitted their mistake," you can say exactly that. No, they apologized simply because they wanted the assemblymen to save face and shut up, but not because they were admitting their mistake. And then you can name those instances where prominent personalities did the same thing. Apologize not because they felt they made a mistake. They just apologize to shut people up. I'll apologize if it makes you feel better, but that doesn't mean I'm sorry. Correct. Even if Hybe apologized, but at least Hybe cleared their position in the public perception. And it controlled the spread. I think that was what their main concern was. I think they knew the assembly was going to get upset. They didn't care because they wanted to control the spread, and they were able to do that because people aren't really talking about it. They made it plenty clear so early that this document that you're seeing, it's redacted, and we didn't write it. It was written by people. And another thing that was so funny about the entire thing is that it was Korean public who wrote all of those nasty comments, and then they're upset that someone saw their nasty comments. Like, you made this comment. So why are you mad? Why are you upset about this? If you don't want idols to be treated that way, then you should stop treating them that way. Canada media doesn't care either. I guess it's more like, we're sorry. Yeah. To we're sorry you feel that way. Reason I love USA media regarding those things, they don't. Yeah. Well, freedom of expression, right? I do feel though, Kathy, Swamp Queen. Why Swamp Queen? So the one thing that I do want is still accountability. I think people, if people are going to hold other people for something that they said 10 years ago, then people will should be held accountable for something that they say now. You can't, I don't think that people, that freedom of expression actually involves allowing bullying, right? So if you're, especially if it's a kid, so that, I think the government has to do something about that. USA media made fun of Korean media regarding the sugar incident. It was funny how they handled it. Yeah, it was smart move by Hybe if you think about it. Very, very smart. And I think I would have done the same thing. I'm like, okay, they're gonna be upset, but it's, that's, they're not important. So as I've said in the last live stream, they actually don't have executive power. So I'm like, whatever. You can only question us. You can only do this in aid of legislation, but you don't have any power over us. You can't make us do anything. So I'm going to do this to clear my name. Hope some armies wake up from the corporate feud. BTS always aim for the long run in this industry, so their music as grown artists will be very different, like how RM did with his albums, which was epic, absolutely epic. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I'm hoping to achieve. I hope that they will just, I hope that BTS or BTS armies actually will just concentrate on the quality of the music and the achievements. And part of the reason I started this series about going through some of their songs that are very, very important but often overlooked is that I think it's time that somebody sort of start the conversation about their music, back the focus, refocus to their music instead of just this Hybe versus Minheejin feud. It's not going to help us any. I think if we are able to emphasize and establish re-establish the superiority of BTS songs and their artistry, then people will realize that really the truth of the matter is that Min Hee-jin has not done shit. Like she has not accomplished anything actually. Because all the groups that she has been trying to destroy are actually thriving. And I mean that it's not just BTS. Of course, BTS will thrive no matter what. But from Lesser of Him to Isle It, they are all thriving. If we concentrate on the achievements, people are going to realize that no, she's actually not achieved anything. She has failed in everything that she has wanted to do. And as I've said in my last live stream, the only thing that she has been able to accomplish is to drag the CEOs and the lawyers of Hybe to the courtroom. And I don't really care for that because they are CEOs. It's part of their job. So if she wants to drag them to court, be my guest. Exact multi-stand 95. Exactly. It's like they thought comments were never seen again after being written or something strange. True. I will say I have started seeing a refocus on my XTL, refocusing on the music. Let's go. Right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's look for not influencers, but people with accounts that are really concentrating on the music, on the records, and support that. Let's be louder on that than we are with this MHJ issue. Just like Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. High, high. We should always just stay high. Hype is a business at the end of the day, and many dummies' minds seems to can't wrap around that simple fact. Well, except for Rise, but that is SM's doing. Those documents would be thrown out. They're not originals nor certified. People can make up anything on paper. Correct. They can make any claims. Okay. Okay, at least I learned business. So true that that's so a slap in MHJ's face. Well, he all groups she tried to put down are doing well. Many cool releases are coming. TXT, Jin, and Hypen repackage. Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to. I think I think Les Seraphim will announce a world tour by next year. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope they finally do because the last one that they did was just Asia. I hope they finally do a US tour, a European tour as well. And I would love for them to actually do it the way BTS did it, like start small and then go from there. I'm also looking forward to Isle It. I know that they're going to do like a mini tour probably. uh Islet is 1 million seller. I heard whatever they say, I'm here for my music. Right. um we are fans should only be invested in their content only. Yeah, so please, whenever we know of an account that's like hyping the content, the BTS, the songs of BTS, the quality or new records, let's just hype those instead of anything else. Hype group tour. Avid reactors channel who are using BTS for views but not helping support the songs of BTS. Avoid reactor channels. That's another thing. I see a lot of like popular reactors that would just watch the song and I'm like, that's great. That's badass. Like, oh my God, I'm going to include this in my playlist and then nothing else. Like they don't make, and I understand that there is an audience for that. Like there are people who just want to watch the reaction, like they just want to see someone getting excited, so that's fine. But I think it will just be we should also support content creators that are actually making an effort to understand the music of BTS, because really in the long run that's what's going to help highlighting the quality of their music. People were complaining because TXT started in smaller venues too. Complaining that TXT started in smaller venues, or that they feel TXT shouldn't have started in smaller venues. Call me dumb. If I was this artist, I would refer to these documents and see where I can improve and what actually the public thinks about me, and I have a good laugh in the end. Click not interested. Just using BTS for clickbait and views. Yes, in the States, they wanted TXT to start in arenas. If you do that, you will not, you won't take care of what you have. You're not going to strive to be better because people rarely take care of the things that they achieve easy. It's very rare that they take care of those things. Support channels that promote and support the work of BTS. She has also done significant damage to Hybe's reputation. Smaller venues is there for rent to grow up their capital. I think you learn stagecraft in smaller venues. Yes. Um, yeah, a lot of the things that you will that goes for even creators, even in YouTube. Like you learn, you do need to start from the bottom. You shouldn't pay your way into getting a big audience because you're not gonna grow as a creator. I guess even any kind of profession, right? If you start at the top, like right off the bat, you're a manager and you don't have any experience, you're gonna suck. You're gonna have to start from the bottom and learn. So that doesn't just apply to any group, it applies to just almost everything in our lives. You have great lives and good interaction with chat. I learn a lot. Thank you, Sirship. Okay. Just watched a new YouTube channel, first time watching BTS. They didn't like them, even the rap, because there's no sexy women in BTSM. What? Oh, that's horrible. Maybe I should revive my. Yes, K pop grandma. Please. I think you sent me like your channel, right? And I watched. I think I watched your post when you made your, did you watch a concert or something like that? I believe that was the what I watched. You watched a concert with your I don't know, daughter, could be. The Rolling Hall concert was great. Ah, I love that for RM. Um there was some elation. I felt some sort of an elation seeing RM perform in Rolling Hall and seeing Suga perform alone. There was this just, and I think because they did, number one thing is that they did not disappoint. Like the kind of energy. Okay, you would understand when I say this because you guys are intelligent and open minded. A lot of people claim that on stage is actually the matinee line or the vocal line, and sometimes and J Hope that carries the performances because they are the dancers, right? The vocal line and sorry, yeah, the vocal line and J Hope that are the dancers. But seeing RM and Suga in their element made me realize that they may not be as good of a dancer as J Hope, but they can command the stage alone. So they bring something different when they become a different performer when they are alone, and it's not inferior and it's not superior than when they are with a group. It's just different. And so I felt like that a different kind of elation seeing and witnessing that, because I felt that this is a different breed of performers. Like it's, I understand now that one creator who said that when he realized that RM Suga and J Hope are actually in one group, and he said that isn't that unfair that they're all in one group. I understand what he said in that moment because I realized it isn't fair because all of them are not just great songwriters, all of them are also great performers and they are great in different ways. Controversially, I think they should be working as individuals most of the time too. I think they will. I mean, I'm pretty sure that in their next comeback, I'm pretty sure. My guess, okay, my guess is that in their next comeback, they are going to do, they're going to just finish some of their unfinished business, the world tour, an album, um, and then I think they're going to start concentrating on individual projects again before coming together as a group again. Yes, it was PTD concert, your 65th birthday. Yeah, that was what I. watched. K-pop grandma. And for me, seeing J-Hope perform at Lola for the first time was so moving for me. Ah, Jessica, I'm so jealous. I'm envious because I wanted to watch and I was ready to buy the ticket. It's just that I had to work. So it's the power of performance. The Youngs are the foundation of the group. So happy for each of them. I'm very, very happy for each of them. And I think that was an important step for them. Lollapalooza for J Hope, Rolling Hall for RM, and the tour for Suga. J Hope's concert. That's what I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting that by next year is going to announce it's going to go on tour. You have seven distinct people. We have such different music identities, yet they are cohesive as a group. I really want, oh my God, I will pay a lot of money to watch a documentary on their behind the scenes when they come back to work together again. I'm so interested how the dynamics are going to, I'm sure they're going to change, right? They're going to change and also not change at the same time. But I do believe that I have being successful now, all of them are successful individually. So I think that brings some sort of security, and of course maturity in their craft. So I think that's they're going to bring something unique in the table, but also not change in that I think they will, to a certain extent, this is just my guess, just speculation, to a certain extent they're going to revert back into their roles because it's BTS. And I know if you ask and interview next live, I'm actually going to talk about um silent leaders. But if you talk to any kind of team, like sports team, any kind of group, any kind of company, the number one recipe to be successful as a group is if put the group first. And I think that's what they are very good at. They always put the group first. So whatever is good for the group, they're going to do that, even if it means sacrificing certain things. So I think that part they haven't lost. And so that's why I'm saying I think it's going to be different in that the success that they have individually will bring a certain amount of course maturity and also security, but I also believe that they will still prioritize the group over anything else. Hobie and Lady Gaga world tour scream, how can we make that happen? So true, a different view from just a listener of music. Same but different. Manifesting doesn't work. Been trying to manifest BTS and demand come to my house, not working. Maybe manifest something um, a little more, that something that has resources that are set up already. That way, maybe it's going to work. I hope that the Macne line will continue to respect the Youngs. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I think I'm just interested in like, are they going to contribute more in the songwriting, because we know now that they actually have creative control over their own projects? Like, are they going to contribute to the writing, or are they going to revert back into their usual work process where it's the young lines that are writing? Just interested in seeing that manifesting, among other things, of course. I think the time between BTS projects will increase to every 2 to 3 years after this comeback. We were talking about that, Leslie, last, I think maybe two live streams ago. I think Bang Luna said that she thinks the same thing, like every several years. And I've said I'm probably delusional because I feel like they're going to come together every festa to do something. So maybe I'm just delusional. But that's what I hope. That they would, even if it's just a song, right? Or even if it's just a live stream. I just want them to come together every festa. But that's just my delusion. Listen, it will not affect their decisions. Army is still manifesting for Deng to be on streaming platform. So I don't know if you follow Deng and um Spring Day on Twitter. Those two are pretty funny. But yeah, I do want justice for Deng because it's not still not in streaming platforms. I think they will do a bio musical. I hope so. I hope so. I think um that is one of the things I envision them doing, to actually do like a full feature animation, and it's going to be their voices and their songs. Urban Squirrel, I think now they need to be worried about his muscles. All of their muscles are so big now. I think that everyone will have something to contribute to new songs. A random collab idea, a BTS member, but with Sabrina Carpenter. Wasn't there a K drama based on the story of BTS? Yeah, so that is based on the most beautiful moment in life series. Yes, there is. Then it seems to be that it's just one season, so I'm anticipating there's going to be season two. They already said the most beautiful moment in life would be first 10-year project. Yes, so they said that they're going to release something to celebrate the most beautiful moment in life. The big boys. I think that drama was based on BTS's universe. Yeah. Ultimately, it took BTS what 8 years now. Group thinks that they can do what they have done in a few months. Ultimately, no matter what, they will be okay. Anything they succeed is icing on the cake, and I hope that they have balance in their lives. Absolutely. I hope that they stay happy, stay at peace, and whenever they can, stay happy. Yes, 10th anniversary project already in the works for Black Swan, Pied Piper, and Louder Than Bomb, some of my favorite. What about V and Sade? Um, who do I want them to collaborate with? I definitely want them to collaborate with Kendrick Lamar. Definitely with Eminem. J. Cole is my favorite rapper of all time, but J. Hope already collaborated with him. So my second favorite is Eminem. Um, I don't know. The new singers don't really excite me. The new ones. Um, I don't know. There's so few that actually excites me as a singer. That is what gives New Jeans so much pride. The fast you rise. V and Sade would be insane. Most New Jeans songs are advertised. Another Coldplay would be great. They work so well together. That is true. They work well together. Oasis maybe. BTS and Eminem would be fire. Absolutely. V with Adele. Adele, I'm all for that. Adele, I am all for. Pink is another one. I love Pink because I love Pink, period. And I also think that she is one of the most underrated vocalists. She is such, she's so great. She's so great. Her voice is so beautiful. Yes, V and Say Crazy. Adele is retired after she finishes in November. Ophelia, don't say that. She can't retire. I think what she said is just she's going to take an indefinite break. I need someone to recommend me a video explaining BTS's lore. The MVs follow a storyline which I can never follow. Okay, so I'm actually doing this. It has just been on pause for such a long time, but I started explaining the lore. But I started with the series, the TV series, and then I'm gonna go back and talk about and explain the lore from the beginning, um, including their book. Coldplay should be a surprise guest performers for Festa. What about a collab with Big Bang? What did you like GD's new song? Oh, so Bang Luna said Bookish Theories had one explaining the the lore of BTS. Bang Luna, no, you don't like GD's song. You don't like Bang Luna, you don't like GD's song, or you don't think that Pink is a great vocalist. I feel like Pink has been on tour forever. I agree, Pink is super talented and an amazing songwriter as well. Correct. So I would really love to have them to collaborate with them. I think the key for me, not for this is just my preference. Okay, we all are entitled to our own preferences, but I think I'm not really concerned about popularity. I really look into the artistry of the person. Like if they do well, if they actually match well with BTS. And I just don't think any of the new superstars actually will jive well and can match their artistry. That I think is that is my struggle. Like they need to be able to have that sensitivity in writing, that kind of drive towards quality, and I just don't see that in many of the new singers. BTS and U2, Big Bang. Okay, collab with Big Bang. Pink is a great performer. No to collab with Big Bang. Want them to work with non-commercial, locally respected artists from various countries, not for their title track, but maybe B sides. Correct. Like for example, I love that collaboration of Suga, with different artists, um, because all of everybody that he collaborated with, their their drive to excellence in their craft is matches the drive for BTS's excellence in their craft. So that is what I'm looking for. Te with Sophia Carson. It feels like Hyde picks random Western artists to collab with, although the Seraphim will. Plus Panthrisis was genius. Agree. Solar. BTS and Taylor Swift would be interesting. BTS and EDM. Bang Luna. Wow, that would be amazing too. I love Twice. Jimin and Seb Deliza. Who's that? V with Umi. Yeah. Yes, that I agree with. No to Tay. Lindsay. Okay. We are an hour and a half in. So do you have questions? I apologize. I was supposed to prepare something for the apology part. That was supposed to be my main topic. I ran out of time because of work again. But the good news is that after this live, I actually am going to prepare for the next live. So I will surely have something for you, something better and more laid out. I apologize for this, but I hope that. But I will continue with the series. I just want to keep on talking about the quality of the music of BTS, so that we can spread it out there. I would love for you guys to contribute. Let me know if there's anything that I'm missing, any requests that you have. I just want to be able to just highlight their artistry, and then I will start actually like having segments in the live so that we can be a bit more organized in the topics that we're talking about. So let me know if there's anything that, so there's always the current ones, current news, and then I want to talk about BTS, and then I want to talk about other artists as well, or other art like movies or whatever, and then something about literature. So last time I talked about Almond. In the next live, I want to talk about the Courage to be Disliked. That is a book that Suga read during In the Soup, I think is when he was reading it, and it's a very enlightening book. I hope that you guys will enjoy it. I am going to give away. I given away a copy of that in Patreon? If I haven't, I will. So if you guys want to get a copy of that book, go and be a member of my Patreon. I give books every 2 weeks. Game Boy 310 has been a great appreciator of music. I've heard a lot about him, and because he is becoming prominent in my channel, I probably will not watch any of his reaction. That is what happens when people keep on mentioning someone to me. I will not watch that person. um Harry Style and JK. What is it? What is it again? Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you for being with me. Um, so I hope, since I will now be able to advance some of my episodes because I already have help, and I'm looking for one more. I think I need one more person in the team. Then I will be able to prepare better. So I promise next live is going to be better. Thank you so much. And if you have any requests, just send them my way. Please be a member of my Patreon. There is a free membership if you want to try things out at first. And follow me on X or on Twitter again if you're there. If you don't have X or Twitter, don't start one. And also follow me on IG. Thank you so much, everybody.